Apparently Bruce had a brother, and man is he pissed. Horror fans in the house say ho! Lift that roof, Anyway, I'm Eric Harrison. That was inappropriate. I'm Eric Harrison. Welcome to the Death Twitch Horror Review. And let's continue on this damn Jaws franchise review with the sequel to the groundbreaking original summer blockbuster, Jaws 2, 1978.
When the movie Jaws first opened, it created a sensation. And shark sightings increased by the thousands in all the vast and unknown depths of the ocean. How could there have been only one?
I think we may have another shark problem. Are you serious?
Roy Scheider.
The whole beach looks incredible.
Lorraine Gary. And Murray Hamilton.
Look at this. That's a shark.
The all-new Jaws 2. See it before you go back in the water.
Jaws 2 came out in 1978, was directed by Jeannot Szwarc, and stars Roy Scheider is back as Chief Brody. We've got Lorraine Gary in there as his wife, Ellen Brody. Murray Hamilton reprises his role as that greedy, money-grubbing mayor of Amity. And not to mention that this movie is the feature film debut of Keith Gordon and Napoleon Dynamite.
Nah, she wasn't looking at me.
Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
The plot of the movie is, well, it's a lot of the same shit from the first one. There's another shark. Why not? You gotta have a shark. It's called fucking Jaws. So another shark shows up to eat people on the island. You know, of course, Brody, having dealt with the shark before, is like, oh, fuck, this is a big deal. Let's take care of it. He goes to the mayor, who, of course, doesn't care about anything but money, as demonstrated by this shot where he's literally surrounded by cash. His son's kind of grown up, he's a teenager now, and there's this whole B-story of his teenage son and all their friends. They like to go sailing. So we got Brody over here yelling shark, trying to get people to fucking listen. Nobody's gonna listen. We've got his son and all those teens going out on the fucking ocean and having sex and drinking and, you know, just pretty much asking for it. He's got to go save these kids from a shark again. That's your plot, really, that's it. So, following the massive success of the original groundbreaking Jaws, of course Universal wanted to follow that up with a sequel and reap some more of those profits. We've got the producers David Brown and Richard Zanuck, who were the producers of the original Jaws, decided they wanted to go ahead and get this project moving before anybody else could. They wanted to do it before somebody else snatched up the rights or something like that, so they rushed it into production. One of the original ideas, which I actually think is very, very interesting for the script, was that it was going to be a prequel based on the incident of the USS Indianapolis. Of course, you may recall that scene from the original Jaws in which Quint is telling the boys about how he was on the USS Indianapolis when it was hit by a torpedo and sunk into the ocean, in which all the men that went into the sea then had to fight off against sharks for a few days. This sounds like a fucking great idea, actually. I wish this had been the Jaws 2. Done right and taken seriously, could have been a really excellent movie. And I know that, unfortunately, Robert Shaw, who played Quint in the original, did die shortly after the making of Jaws. But because the idea was for a prequel set many decades before the original Jaws, you could have had another actor in there playing a young Quint. Yeah, we could have got to see his early life, what he was like before the shit went down, and then see how it ultimately affected his psyche, and kind of sort of damaged him. That's what made him a little bit of a screwball in the original Jaws. And just imagine the terror of just floating in the sea for a few days and nights and having sharks pick you guys off one by one. The idea of the Jaws 2 being a prequel of the USS Indianapolis should have been the way to go. Unfortunately, they wanted to play it safe. That's Hollywood's fucking big thing. That's what they do best. They play things safe. So they tried their best to pretty much make and give you the same movie over again. They got as many of the elements back as they possibly could. The original actors are coming back, which is great. It's nice to see their faces again. It's nice to see the island again. We've got John Williams is back to do the score again. You got another shark in there, you know. Everything, they did everything possible to like recapture lightning in a bottle. They were missing a few key elements, unfortunately. This movie started with a different director named John Hancock. He was like almost a month into already shooting the movie when he was let go. I don't know, there was some kind of behind the scenes drama going on there, but the studio was not happy with the direction the movie was taken. I guess he was taking the tone way more dark than they were pleased with. They wanted it to be serious, but they wanted there to be some kind of fun or lightheartedness in the movie as well. And I guess he was totally making like this kind of a dark movie that they weren't pleased with, so he was let go. And then that's when Jeannot Szwarc was brought in, a relative unknown. He had hardly done only one or two things before this. Now they did go to Steven Spielberg, of course, who decided, fuck no, after my experience on the original Jaws, I am not coming back to do a part 2. Roy Scheider came back to do Jaws 2, despite the fact that he didn't want to. He didn't like the idea of them rehashing Jaws again, but he was, unfortunately for him, contractually obligated to Universal to make another movie, so he had to do Jaws 2 in order to get out of his contract. Now, as I just said, he was not happy about having to do it. He did commit himself to doing the best job possible, but he didn't get along with the director, and he was not happy with the production. There was numerous fights and yelling matches, even from what I hear between Jeannot Szwarc and Roy Scheider. There was a fist fight that some people had to break up. Can you imagine that? Roy Scheider kicking the director's ass. I mean, like, fuck you in this movie. That's pretty awesome. So this movie's got two storylines going on, which was one of the issues with this movie. Now, in the original, I did point out in my last review of Jaws that there's one storyline, but it is broken into two parts. The first part is on the island, and it's about Roy's trying to tell people about the shark and warn them, and then the second part is out at sea where they're hunting and battling the shark. But that's at least one story, even if it is broken into two parts. In Jaws 2, we have two storylines where it's Chief Brody suspects there's a shark on the loose again. He's trying to tell the town and trying to warn people. Basically a rehash of the first one. It's the first one all over again. Nobody's going to listen, unfortunately. But the other story is we've got the teenagers, his teenage son and all his friends going out to sea and then getting stuck and attacked by the shark, and then Roy's got to go save them. For me, it kind of weakens the story a little bit because, well, first of all, we don't get to know these teenage characters as much as I would like. I do find them enjoyable. I do think that their kind of lightheartedness and the humor that they bring to the story is helpful. Unfortunately, I find that I don't get to know them quite as much as I would have liked. But still, they're there. In fact, really, honestly, more of the movie should have been about them and less of a rehash about Brody warning, the mayor. So that's one of the places where the story is weak, because we don't get to know these characters enough, and they're just kind of, thrown in here and there, and then at the end, all of a sudden, the whole movie is about them. But I would say the strongest part of this movie, first of all, is Roy Scheider and his performance. Great job. Like, you could tell he really was passionate about the character. Even if he wasn't into the project, he was like, I have to play this character. I'm going to go all in. He does a great job. I want to say that the characters of Chief Brody and Ellen Brody, his wife, are the strongest part of this movie. It's really great to watch the scenes where he's fallen apart because nobody's going to listen to him. But his wife is there for him. She's like so loving and nurturing towards her husband. They make a great team. They're immensely likable. They're the strongest aspect of this whole movie. The shark, on the other hand, has no personality compared to the first. Okay, first of all, in the original, they at least tried to give you some kind of justification in the original Jaws. They were talking about that shark came to that island because of something called territorial something.
It's called territoriality. It's just theory that I happen to agree with.
Basically, that he staked claim to that area and was the only shark in the area and was going to just feed there until there was no people left. And this one, we're not given nothing. Nothing. Just another shark shows up and it has no personality. It's just a killing machine that has no intelligence like the original one did. Seemed to have a personality and some kind of intelligence. This one's just there to fucking... I know that's what a shark is, but you could have given it something. There's not even any menace, really. It's just there to be a big mechanical shark and chomp on people every once in a while. Not to mention that, but there's not even an interaction between Brody and the shark until the last 10 minutes of the fucking movie. He doesn't see it until the last 10 minutes of the fucking movie. Holy shit, he's hunting this thing that he hasn't even seen. Like I said, they did their best to recapture lightning in a bottle. They brought back as many elements as possible. They got, same characters, played by the same actors, same locations, basically the same plot line for the most part. You got John Williams brought back to do the score. They had everything going for them, but two key ingredients that they were missing. First one, a solid script. The original Jaws was based on a novel. They had material to work with. They had an overabundance of material to work with, but they had to cut out parts of the plot from the novel in order to make the movie. But they had a solid story that had been worked on and finalized. In Jaws 2, they rushed through a script and then they fucking rewrote the script and then rewrote the script and then rewrote the script. So that's the first issue. Weak script. Doesn't have the solid script that the original had. The second issue is the director, Jeannot Szwarc. I can't give him too much of a hard time because he came into an already troubled production and had to work with a shitty script that was being rewritten. Had to reshoot stuff and then kind of go back and start from scratch. I can't give him too much of a hard time, but it is very clear in watching this movie and then watching the original. He lacks the storytelling ability that Steven Spielberg seems to have. Everything in this movie is rather flat. It's just a shot. It just shows you a shot. It just shows you something. Like, here it is. There's no creativity involved in the storytelling or, the visual aspect of the storytelling. Not the way that Spielberg was able to energize pretty much every single scene and every frame in the original Jaws with some kind of creative way to tell that scene or to tell the story. In this one, unfortunately, Jeannot Szwarc is just very flat and unimaginative. So that's really the second biggest thing there. Those are, I would say, my two biggest complaints. They really tried to recapture the original. They were missing the two most important ingredients, which is a good script and a good director. Sorry, not that I could have done any better, but hey, anyway, let's rate it. I was going to give it 2 stars. I'm going to bump it up to 2 3/4 based on Roy Scheider's performance alone. He bumps it up to a higher rating. Check it out. I mean, it's probably the best Jaws sequel, so I guess check it out. Alright then. I wish I was more into this. I'm just so tired of the heat, dude. I'm taking my fucking shorts off. This is happening. I'll keep my boxers on even though you can't see nothing, but dude, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm keeping these off too. Oh, fuck it. I'm in my boxers. Whatever, you gotta do what you gotta do.